lives. So I'm very excited to learn from Kathy and ASHLEE. But as Tia said, and if you have not tuned in before when I've been a co-host, my name is Jennifer Peterkin, and I am a domestic violence advocate and survivor. And I, out of my own experience, started my own podcast called The Human Experience, and we just released our 100th episode this week. So go check that out if you are so inclined.
Awesome. Congratulations on that, Jen. I saw that. That was just beautiful. So I have to bring you and we have to do a whole interview about that. Awesome.
I would love that. Yeah.
So again, our guest on this evening is Kathy. And so when Kathy can get back to us, she's going to share some information with us. But we want to start with some resources. And the first one that I want to share is Crossing Paths. So Crossing Paths Animal Rescue, their website is crossingpathsanimalrescue.org. And for more information, you can email Yardley, Yardley, Yardley dogs 2, the number 2, at AOL.com. So, as usual, we're in the process of raising funds for Rise Out of the Ashes Inc. That is something that that's a continual endeavor. So if you would like to make a tax deductible donation, you can do so. You can go through a GoFundMe, look for our fundraiser, Rise Out of the Ashes Inc., or you can write a check made payable to Rise Out of the Ashes Inc. and send that to P.O. Box 15, Drexel Hill, PA 19026. If you would like, you can also purchase my book, Suffering in Silence, which is available on Amazon. We use proceeds from our book to help with Rise Out of the Ashes as well. And the biggest thing that we do is helping with transitional resources. We help victims and survivors financially. Our biggest endeavor is immediate and emergency funding. We help to provide finances for doctor's visits. We provide finances for school supplies, for transportation, for medical needs, medication, personal toiletries. When we can, we help with utilities, rent, mortgage. We've been able to help a couple of ladies continue their education. We've paid for a couple of college courses. So these are some of the things that we do. And if you want to help us to be able to keep doing this, then you can help us out financially. I want to share the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services National Helpline. Their number is 800-662-4357. Their the website for Befrienders Volunteer Action to Prevent Suicide is befrienders.org. And going through that website, you can find a helpline by country. We have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Their website is thehotline.org. Their number is 1-800-799-7233. In Canada, we have the Canadian Women's Foundation. Their website is canadianwomen.org. Their number is 1-866-293-4483. And in the UK, we have the National Domestic Abuse Helpline. Their website is nationaldahelpline.org.uk. Their number is 0808-2000-247. Or you can visit Women's Aid, and their website is womensaid.org.uk. And with that, we move into our topic on tonight, Crossing Paths Animal Rescue. And I'll talk a bit about my experience in a couple minutes, but when I was going through my information, the transportation information, the scripture, Proverbs 12:10, was in there. And that says, a righteous man cares for his animals. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that, it was like a little kiss on the forehead, like, okay, like the seal of approval, you definitely moving in the right direction. This is what you're supposed to do. So Crossing Paths. So when Kathy is able to get back, she'll give us more information. Oh.
Oh, here I am. That was perfect timing.
Yeah, it was great. I just finished some resources, and I just shared our my experience of going through my transportation information and finding the scripture Proverbs 12:10, a righteous man cares for his animals, which was like, that was, just confirmation for me. So we're just going to jump right in, Kathy. The first thing that I wanted to ask you to do is to tell us about Crossing Paths Animal Rescue, and how you started working with the organization.
Sure. So Crossing Paths started very, very small in 2006. There were a group of men and women in Blount County, Alabama, who were very dismayed by the numbers that were coming out of the shelters. So they were hearing about the euthanasia rates. They were, seeing that the shelters were just completely overwhelmed, overflowing, and they wanted to make a difference. So on Mary Ellen, our current president, on her property, she built a couple of kennels. So we started with just 2 kennels. And eventually, a lot of the founders kind of drifted away, and Mary Ellen took the reins. And she founded it, and she's still with us as the president. She's a wonderful person, very warm, very dedicated, very loving. But over the years, we have grown and grown and grown to the point we have about 50 kennels right now, and we can house between 150 and 160 dogs. So yeah, we've grown exponentially. We've had about 10,000 adopters over the years. And I found my first rescue dog on the website, and I fell in love with her. And I went through the adoption process with Crossing Paths, and I had such a wonderful experience. I was really blown away by the passion of everyone I dealt with.
Wow.
So fast forward a year later, I'm ready for a second dog, and of course, I'm going to Crossing Paths. And I just mentioned very casually, I would love to volunteer with you guys. Like, I would be honored, to be a part of your organization. And as any nonprofit will do, they snap up the volunteers. And I've been there for about 7 years.
Awesome. That is wonderful, Kathy. Can you tell us exactly what Crossing Paths does? Because
Sure.
it's just huge, and there's so much. There's more to the organization than what I thought when I first started my search. So can you tell us some of the things that Crossing Paths does exactly?
Sure. So I guess where we start is we go into the high kill shelters and we pull out as many dogs as we possibly can. All breeds, all sizes, all ages, senior citizens, puppies. We don't discriminate. We've taken in very sick dogs. We rehabilitate them. We've had a lot of dogs need amputations. We nurse them through, and we socialize them. And once they're ready for adoption, our Pennsylvania team kind of takes the lead. And, we post dogs on our website. We post them on Pet Finder. We post them on Adopt a Pet. And then the applications come in. And, we just, process the adoptions from there. But, we do a lot of other things. Community education is key. One of the biggest problems, in the rural South in Alabama, is there's a lot of poverty, right? So the biggest problem of the overpopulation of dogs right now is the lack of spay neuter. Um, you know, People say, well, that's easy, just go get your dog spay neutered, right? But money is a barrier. When you're talking rural, you're talking a few providers of these services. So it comes to, how do we bring the service to the people or transport the people to the service? And that we started our Fix Your Mama program, where for anyone in Blount County, we will spay neuter female dogs. And again, it's our way to try and get at the root problem. We also have, because there are so many dogs in Alabama, There's a saturation of adopters. There aren't a whole lot of adopters. There's just too many animals. So we began to transport the dogs up to the Northeast in the United States. We transport to Maryland. We transport to Pennsylvania. And our adopters literally come from all over the country. It is amazing. And it's our way of increasing our adoption numbers and, bringing more pets to people.
Wow. Can you tell us what are high kill shelters? Because I had never heard that term until I started communicating with you.
So, a lot of them are government funded organizations, and they have limited space. So, the particular shelter we're working with now, if they have 50 dogs, right, in the shelter, and say 25 dogs, new dogs, come in on a particular day, they then have to sacrifice 25 of their current dogs. So the euthanasia rate is really high. We chose to work with a particular shelter because their save rate was only like 30%. So we applied for some grants and we were fortunate enough to get them. So we can hopefully by the end of the year almost double their save rate.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So can you tell us and I know it's a lot, but can you tell us, and then Jen, I'll go to you for a question or comment. Tell us what you do exactly for Crossing Paths. I know you wear a lot of hats.
I do. I think in nonprofits, your volunteers have to wear a lot of hats, right? There's endless work to be done and limited volunteer hours. So I started as an adoption coordinator where I would just review the applications, I would interview the applicants. I would say, okay, this dog matches well with this person, and kind of just walk the adopter through the process, from application all the way to the day they come pick up their dog. But once I got a good feel for the organization, I kind of took a step back and I wanted to see what the organization's greatest needs were and how we could improve what we do and how we do it. So I started and I looked at our website and I thought, wow, our website's kind of lacking. It didn't look quite as professional as it should have. So I went out and I looked and I looked and I looked and I finally found a volunteer web designer who he built us this wonderful brand new website. So that was great. And then I stepped back and I thought, what else can we do? So we were still working on pen and paper. We had a ton of files. And I thought, okay, it's time for data management, right? Look at what year we're in. It's time to get rid of the paper. So we brought that in. So I just kind of look at the organization in general and see where I can, bring about the best changes.
Awesome. Jen, you have a question or comment for Kathy?
I have so many questions and comments, but I will try to keep it brief. I feel like, again, Tia and I both have rescue dogs, and obviously you're well acquainted with Tia. I guess one of the things that really is so hard to understand is why there is still such a issue like in 2026. We know that there is a problem with an overpopulation of dogs, and yet there's a lot of great work being done, but the problem still persists. And I mean, we could say the same thing for domestic violence, right? But so from your perspective, what are the barriers to actually putting an end to this? What motivates people to continue to create these opportunities where dogs and cats become, really abused or unwanted?
Right. So it really does come down to spay neuter. That is the solution. And it's trying to find a way to overcome those barriers, right? How do we increase the number of animals that are spay-neutered? How do we educate the public? How do we provide the resources that the public needs if they don't have those resources themselves? And again, there are more and more mobile clinics, that will, come to them. We don't have the funding to do that, but we do transport people to the spay neuter clinic. So it's a piecewise approach. There's no easy answer. I think, again, education is key. Funding is key. So that's where we are.
Do you find that, it's a lack of education over like an apathy towards it, or,
Yeah.
where do you see?
I think it's definitely lack of education. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's the, well, I shouldn't spay neuter my dog because they might get cancer. There's a lot of misperceptions out there. I don't think it's an unwillingness by any means. I think people just don't see the importance of it. They don't realize the magnitude of the problem that it causes.
It's so hard to like wrap my head around that, but it's true. I guess, if that's not where you're looking, it's hard to see what's going on.
Right.
Say that for anything.
Right.
So, Kathy, speaking of the lack of awareness, the lack of education, is that a hat that you wear, or someone at Crossing Paths to try to educate the community on those things that are best, that won't that will keep animals out of the position of having to become not just adopted, but not being abused? Are you able in some ways to communicate the community, to educate the community?
So that is a job for those on the front lines. There's only so many things I can do from Pennsylvania. It is, whether it's providing print resources, whether it's about going into high schools and giving talks. Those are the things that we try to do. We also, will partner with some rescues who, obviously have the same goal. And try and build the education.
So that is awesome. So I do want to share my experience, but before I do, I want to ask you, can you please tell us what the Hope Dog program is?
What the whole what is?
Hope Dog program.
The Hope Dog program, right. So I actually developed that program. And when we went into the shelters to pull out as many dogs as we could house in our kennels, there were those that were left behind, right? So that's really sad. Here are these dogs still stuck in the shelter, and we're at capacity. It's like, what do we do? So what we decided to do was to virtually promote all of these shelter dogs. So you will find them on our website. You will find them on Pet Finder. You will find them on Adopt a Pet. And we support the whole adoption process. So it's just our way of trying to get more dogs out of the shelters.
Okay, awesome. That is beautiful. I am glad that you do what you do, because I'm in a position now that I am in. So, Love Bay, I met Kathy some weeks ago because it was literally on Thanksgiving Day I decided to get a dog.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Many of my friends are dog owners. A couple of them specifically have Labrador retrievers. And on Thanksgiving Day, I just made up my mind. I said I want a dog, not just a dog. I was very specific. I wanted a Labrador retriever. One of my friends has a Labrador retriever. He's black. He's huge. And whenever I see him, he always comes to me like he's protecting me, and like he's just bringing me some peace. So in my mind, what I really wanted was to duplicate him.
It's very hard to do.
It was very hard to do. It was an easy process. I did get my dog. Her name is Camaro. I renamed her. but it was such an easy process. And when I began to communicate with you, I did not realize that Camaro was in Alabama. I
Mhm.
didn't know until we got to the transportation part. I didn't know that she was in Alabama. For me, the whole process took 2 weeks, which I think is amazing because I've had friends who the process of getting dogs for them took months. But I went online. I saw a picture of the dog that I wanted. His name was Alfie. He's all black. He's
Oh,
black.
yes, I remember
Yes, I
Ashley.
wanted Alfie. Um,
Mhm.
but he was absolutely beautiful. I think he was 3 years old. I filled out the paperwork, and when I started corresponding with Kathy, Alfie wasn't available. Someone else had adopted him, which was happy news, but a little bit sad for me.
Mhm.
But she sent me some more profiles on dogs, and I saw my Camaro in there. And I
Mhm.
do want to say, Love Bay, if you're going to get a dog, keep an open mind because I was very specific. I wanted a boy. I wanted black. I wanted 2 or 3 years old, because I wanted him to grow with me. My dog, she is all white. She has a black spot on her back, about 3 or 4 inches. I mean, she is gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's a girl.
Mhm.
But I believe I got, what I was supposed to have in her. Um, she has a microchip. She was brought to me from Alabama, which I was just ecstatic about that. Um, she had her most recent I had the dates for her most recent flea and tick heartworm preventatives. She was tested for heartworm. I had her spay neutered certificate. I had her rabies tag and certificate. I had her Alabama State health certificate. I had everything. Like I had everything that I needed for her. And actually, I was prepared when I decided I wanted a dog. I was prepared to pay upwards of $2,000 because that's what I was thinking in my mind. But I was, that's what I thought it was going to take. And another friend of mine told me about adoption rescue dogs. And so I want to share when I went through the fees and everything for Camaro, the adoption fee was only $395.
Mhm.
The transport fee was $150. And if everything had worked out with Alfie, because I believe Alfie was a Hope dog, I
Mhm.
think his adoption fee was $150. So if price matters to anyone, I wanted to share that. But I had a beautiful experience. And Ashley, I hope that Ashley can join us before we go. But Ashley was extremely kind. And I'm telling you, for the first couple of weeks, I had so many questions, and Ashley walked me through everything via text, via phone call. It was like bringing a newborn baby home from the hospital, the first
Mhm.
kid you ever have.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful experience. I mean, Kathy walked me through step by step. And I mean, it was so seamless to the point where I did not realize Camaro was in Alabama.
Well, our goal is definitely to make it as easy on the adopter as possible. And I think it's also important to mention we don't feel like our job ends the day we hand over a dog. We are always following up with our adopters. We want to see pictures, we want to hear stories. We really are a family. And just really quick, back to spay neuter, we would never, ever, ever adopt out a dog that is not spay neutered. That is all part of the adoption fee, along with what you said, the vaccinations and the microchip and all of that stuff. We just view that as so incredibly important.
Yes. So I want to share the drop off locations before I ask my next question of you. And
Mhm.
so one of the drop off locations is a GoMart gas station, and this is in Salem, Virginia. PetSmart in Hagerstown, Maryland, and then PetSmart in Newtown, PA, which is where I picked up Camaro. So she had a ride before she got to me. So I just wanted to mention some of those drop off locations. And my next question for you, I want to share a little information from a couple of articles, and I'll ask my next question. And this is from October 16th, 2025. Animal Protective Association of Missouri. Less than 20% of domestic violence shelters accept pets. As a result, 48% of survivors delay leaving because they can't take their pets with them. APA supports the Purple Leash Project by helping Purina reach their goal of having 25% of domestic violence shelters be pet friendly by the end of 2025, increasing the number of pet friendly domestic violence shelters across the country. And then from Sojourner Center in Phoenix, Arizona, the CEO, Dr. Maria Garay, she said that up to 40% of women will not leave an abusive relationship because they can't take their pet. Most domestic violence shelters don't allow pets. The Sojourner Center teamed up with PetSmart to build a pet companion shelter on the Sojourner Center campus. It will hold 8 to 10 dogs and about 10 cats. Andy is Quirtle shared this information. He's the VP of Corporate Communications for PetSmart. And the Phoenix based company donated $50,000 to the pet companion shelter. So, Kathy, having shared that information, my question to you is, has Crossing Paths dealt with or handled domestic violence issues or situations involving pets?
We have not, in particular, to my knowledge. I don't know whether anything like that predates my involvement with the organization, but nothing that I have heard of. But those goals are so important. Look at the comfort that animals bring people,
Yes.
right? Happy, sad, they are by our side every moment. So I think, that is such an important consideration. PetSmart, we are very close partners with both PetSmart and PetSmart charities. And they fund wonderful initiatives like this. So I did not know about that part of their partnerships, and I think that's wonderful.
Awesome. So if domestic violence victims do come to you to keep their pets safe, is that an option at Crossing Paths, or is it something that Crossing Paths would consider or maybe put on the table for the future, consider doing and working out?
I think it's very difficult with the logistics. We do have a handful of fosters up in Pennsylvania, but our kennels are in Alabama. It's certainly something that I plan on taking back to Crossing Paths so that we can have those kinds of discussions and, see what part we can take. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want you to take a moment and share some accomplishments with us, some accomplishments of Crossing Paths, some of those things that you're proud of.
So I think one of the most exciting things for me was when I opened an email and it said, congratulations, you have won a $5,000 grant. And I kind of scratched my head and said, well, I didn't apply for a $5,000 grant. But it was from the Miranda Lambert Foundation. And, I thought, is this real? Right? Somebody's just giving me money and I didn't even ask. But what their foundation does is they have their own in-house teams and they do a lot of research of rescues and shelters across the country. And each year for each state, they pick one organization that they feel demonstrates excellence, excellence in their mission and excellence in carrying out their mission. And we were chosen. So that was, we were all very, very proud of that. It's nice. We don't do what we do for recognition, right? We do it because we're passionate about the dogs. It is about the dogs. But just to see our hard work recognized in one way, it was really reaffirming. It was great. Adoptions over the past 5 years have plummeted ever since the end of COVID. And we went from consistently having over 1,000 adoptions a year to 300. And the grants have become extremely competitive, right? It's a trend nationwide. Organizations are struggling, and we become dependent on grants and donations, because we've lost our income, we've lost those adoption fees. So I'm incredibly proud that this year we were blessed to get a grant from PetSmart Charities and another one from Best Friends Animal Foundation and the Rachel Ray Save Them All grant. So, they believe in our mission, right? Not just what the mission is, but our ability to carry it out. So yeah, we're pleased as punch.
As you should be. So I want to ask a really, I think is a simple question, and then Jen, I'll go to you. But when you talk about socializing dogs, what exactly, um, like I understand it, but can you explain to us exactly what that is and why you do it, the
Sure.
socialized dogs? Yeah.
Sure. So we want to make sure our dogs have experience interacting with different dogs, different size dogs, male dogs, female dogs, different breeds. We want to make sure that the dogs have exposure to different people, right? If you do not socialize a dog and you adopt out that dog, maybe the dog has this huge fear of men because they never met a man during, especially puppies during those formative years. It can, they can develop fears. So it's really important to expose them to as much as you possibly can to increase their comfort levels with new experiences.
Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry, Jen. Just one more question. On the Crossing Paths website, if you want to adopt a dog, can you talk about the portion of private owners? Because there are some private owners available as well who will communicate with you personally. I actually had communication with someone when I lost out on Alfie. I was trying to get in my lab from somewhere, but there was a woman and she was really nice. She had two labs. I think they were about 2 or 3 years old. They were brothers, um, and I talked with her via email and explained, this is my first time. And she was really nice. And she told me she wasn't comfortable um, passing them off to me. She was relocating and she couldn't take them with her. But she was very kind, very informative. And she said, these guys, she said they dig holes like nobody's business. They're just really rambunctious. She said, it's just too much for a first time pet owner. Right. And I appreciate that. I appreciate her taking the time to explain it to me and, not just saying no and leaving me in the dark. So I had a good experience on that side. Even though I didn't get a dog, I still had a good experience with dealing with the private owners that are on a site as well. So can you talk about that portion of it as well?
So when you say private owners on site, I'm not quite sure what that means. We have fosters, but we don't have people on site who, well, I mean, each of us has our own dogs, right? We're dog people. But I'm not sure what you mean by private.
It was through the website. There were different options. And one of the options was personal pet owners who, for whatever their personal reasons, were surrendering their own dogs.
You've stumped me.
Okay, well then we'll talk about that part later.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm really glad that the person you spoke with was very upfront and honest.
Yes.
We have focused on matching the right dog with the right owner, right? So most of the time, someone sees a puppy online and they look and they say, "I have to have that puppy," right? And that's all well and good, but if the puppy's personality doesn't fit what your lifestyle is, guess what? That dog's coming back to us. So we really, really focus on being as transparent as possible, whether it's good behavior or bad behavior, we're going to let you know. But I'm not sure about what the private owner part was that you saw.
Okay. Jen?
Yeah, as I'm sitting here listening, I just keep thinking how appropriate suffering in silence is as a name for we talk about domestic violence, but these animals that are in our lives, just like they have no voice so often. And so I just really appreciate people that have taken up to advocate for them. And I have some experience with, obviously, the shelter that I adopted from, and or the rescue that I adopted from, and people, other rescues in the area. And I do really appreciate the matching that happens, the work to make sure that it's going to be a good fit. And there's a rescue that I was looking at dog like years ago. I was looking to possibly adopt, and in looking online, there were certain breeds that, like, if you had never owned that breed before, or if you had never owned a dog before, like, they wouldn't even take your application. So like Great Pyrenees or German Shepherds, like if you didn't have no dog owning experience, you weren't just going to get this dog. And I think so often we can get really just excited to have a pet as almost like an accessory to our lives, and not really thinking about what the impact is to actually bring a creature into our lives, and that they also, need care and attention and love as well. And it's not just this like statue being that, like, it's a sentient being that like doesn't have any um feelings or thoughts or desires or any of that. And so I just think it's so important to highlight the work that you and all rescues do, just because um I think we love our animals, we love our pets, and there's a wide range of opinions on how we should care for them. And that's fine, like, keep that dialogue going. But I think at the very least we should recognize that we have a responsibility to them, to take care of them well, and to make sure that we're not setting them up for failure, essentially. So I actually am what's known as a foster fail. Um,
I shouldn't say most, many fosters are foster fails.
yes. So for anyone unfamiliar with the term, it means that I went to foster a dog and adopted that dog. So I failed at the fostering part and became a full-on pet parent. But I'm so happy that I did. I absolutely adore my dog. He's got some stuff, some baggage that he came with, but he really is just such a lovely, precious thing. So, but he was from Georgia, and I adopted him during COVID, when they were like, the South put out those calls to come pick up as many dogs as you can. And so I know that you said that adoptions have gone down in the past 5 years. I also have talked to so many people that adopted pets during COVID.
Right.
So can you talk about, like, it's kind of a two-parter. Can you talk about why adoptions have dropped in the past 5 years, but also going back to like COVID, when we were all in our homes isolating? Part of me sees that as like, wow, that was a great opportunity for people to have interaction with their pets. But I also wonder if it was almost like the Christmas puppy thing, where it was exciting in the moment, and then once life got back to normal, it was there an adverse reaction to that?
So there was definitely a COVID boom, right? We would have puppies, and I could have had 20 applications for one dog. There was a boom. It was hard for people to actually adopt. It almost became competitive. It was wonderful for the animals. We were getting so many out. But to your point, people were in this situation where, hey, I'm working from home. Hey, I can't really go anywhere. This is the greatest time to get a dog, to be home with that dog. Um, and, after COVID ended, there was a drastic shift. So, COVID, we all dealt with inflation, right? So, veterinarian costs skyrocketed. There was a housing crisis. There was a move from houses to apartments, that all of a sudden apartments have limitations on what pets you can and can't have. So we believe that those were the most important reasons why people stopped adopting, especially the economy. We really do think that played the biggest part. In terms of COVID's over, I have to go back to work. We definitely did see that happen. We had returns. I can no longer handle my dog. I don't have the time. Fortunately, with Crossing Paths, that was not a big number. It happened, but we all cringe when we hear Christmas puppy, right? Because a lot of those puppies can come back. The idea of it is great, but you can't exactly spring a puppy on people who might not be ready for it. That's just not the best idea. So I encourage people not to do that. But yeah, COVID played a really big part. And I would say over the last 2 years or so, those numbers are stabilizing. So that plummet has stopped. We're still at a really low level of adoptions, but at least we're steady now. And we work with these professional organizations like PetSmart charities, like Best Friends, to look at adoption trends and to figure out, hey, what can we do different? How can we reach more people? Can we have more in-store events where people get to come, interact with the dogs, and make a decision based on that, as opposed to, adopting remotely and having the dog transported to them? So, it's a group effort. There's no one organization who's going to have the answer. It truly is a group effort.
Wow. Well, Kathy, I want to highlight some of your key partnerships of Crossing Paths, and then after that, I would love if you would tell us about some of your upcoming adoption events. But Crossing Paths has the 2025 Platinum Seal of Transparency with Candid. Your partners with PetSmart Charities and PetSmart, which PetSmart offers locations for transport and adoption events. They provide generous donations and supplies. As you mentioned, Best Friends Network partner. It consists of thousands of public and private shelters, rescue groups, spay neuter organizations, and other animal welfare groups across all 50 states. Partners in a network support each other through collaboration, information sharing, and the implementation of proven life-saving strategies. Dog is my co-pilot. Their mission is to transport animals from overcrowded shelters to adoption centers. Every 4 weeks, their plane is met at a local airfield, and he helped to load dogs that are rescued from kill shelters. The dogs are flown to Brandywine Valley SPCA in Pennsylvania. Puppy Food Bank, which collects donations to provide and have delivered pet food from suppliers directly to nonprofit rescue groups in need. Also, Adopt a Pet, which has designated Crossing Paths Animal Rescue as an approved organization. All dogs available for adoption are listed on their online platform, which helps reach a wider audience and increase visibility in a community served. And then lastly, Animal Care Expo, a humane world for animals. And that relationship is to help keep up with changes in animal welfare. Are there any other partnerships that you want to bring attention to? I mean, you Crossing Paths has some great friends.
We do, honestly. As you read that list, I just think about again how lucky we are to have such great partners. You mentioned Brandywine SPCA. They have been great in taking some of our dogs where they're just not getting visibility. So at Brandywine, they have a large volume of the public who come on the premises and get to meet and interact with those dogs, therefore increasing the likelihood of them being adopted. Dog is my co-pilot is awesome. I mean, we can really move a large volume of dogs at once. So yeah, I mean, every organization you mentioned is fantastic, and we're very lucky.
Awesome. So, can you tell us about some of your upcoming adoption events?
Sure. So our adoption events take place through PetSmarts. We have about five event, not about, we have five events this year. The first one is February 21st, and that's at the Newtown PetSmart in Pennsylvania. We also have one the following month on March 28th at that same PetSmart. And then, throughout the year, we'll have one in July, we'll have one in October. And I missed one. I know I missed one. But yeah, those
And
will be.
are those events at the PetSmart in Newtown Square that you're speaking of?
Not Newtown Square, Newtown,
I'm
Pennsylvania,
sorry,
which is
Newtown.
actually different. Yeah,
We have a Newtown Square and we have a
I know.
Newtown
I
Square.
know. I know. We always try to be very clear because people
Yeah.
mix those two up very easily.
Mhm.
But yes, we have been at the Newtown PetSmart for many years. They're our major transport location, and they're just very welcoming into their store. And they host us, and we get all their customers come in, and a lot of our former adopters come in and just say hi. And yeah, it's a really great day out.
Yes, and so that address for that PetSmart is 2600 South Eagle Road, Newtown, PA 18940. And once you go, if you're picking up your pet, you can actually go into PetSmart to shop to get things that you needed. Now, Jen, I came prepared. I had a harness, I had a leash, I had everything, but I knew if I needed something, I was going to go right into PetSmart.
Sure. As part of our adoptions, we give out these great PetSmart coupon books too.
Yes.
So you missed out on that sale. I hope you've been able to use the coupon since.
But it was great. And that PetSmart, it's in the middle of like a shopping center. So I mean, you can make a whole day out of it, you know. But when I went, I picked up Camaro. Ashley helped me put her in a car. Love Bay, you know why her name is Camaro. So, like,
I love it. That's the first time I've heard that name for a dog. So I always love unique names.
Yeah, my Camaro is all white with a black top. So when I saw her, I said yes. So and Ashley helped me put her in a car. She got in the back seat and she fell asleep. She went to sleep for her ride home. It was just absolutely great. But I want to thank you again for your help, for your assistance. I want to thank Ashley. Um, it was really soothing to know that I was not going to be ignored, even the smallest things. You know, I called Ashley and said she won't eat 2 times a day. I thought she was going to starve. She said no, it's okay. She's used to eating once a day. So I mean, even there are simple things to someone who has experience with dogs, but I don't. I mean, I was ready to go to the vet so many times.
Oh no, call us first.
Yes, yeah, call Ashley. But I want to share some of the ongoing needs. So if you let us know how individuals can donate these items, I want to share what they are first. So there is an urgent need of puppy chow, gallon bleach, paper towels, small and medium blankets, Audubon, Fabuloso, Pine Sol, Clorox or Lysol spray cleaner, cotton pee pads, dog toys, Nylabones, squeaky toys, hard chew bones, Kongs, tennis balls, but no rawhide toys or balls, slip leashes, martingale collars of all sizes, igloo dog houses, sunbeds, perla beds, metal fans that hang, hound heaters for igloos, and you can also donate monetarily if you would like to. So, Kathy, can you let everyone know how they can get these donations to Crossing Paths, the actual donations or monetary donations?
Yeah, of course. So monetary donations is fairly easy. You just go to crossingpaths.org/donate, and you'll see the donate button. In terms of donating supplies, if you are local to one of our locations, a lot of people will, they'll drop off all of their donations at one of our transports. You provided the email address, the yardleydogs2@aol.com. If someone wants to shop at Amazon, say, we can provide a shipping address. So that's always an easy and convenient way to do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're just under the hour. We're going to wrap up for tonight. So Jen, I'm going to ask you for a final thought, and Kathy, I'm going to ask you to leave Love Bay with whatever you want them to know about Crossing Paths. I just want to say that title needs to change. The foster failure thing, that's not. That has to be called something else.
But that's the best kind of failure you can have.
Was hurt or something.
It makes me feel good about my failure. Like, that's a failure I feel really proud of.
Yes, as well you should. That's the best kind of failure you can have, for sure.
Yes.
But it is funny because people do say that. They're like, why do you call it that? That's horrible.
I would be wearing a badge like I did this.
Oh, I do. And sometimes I think he's taken a few years off my life, but I don't even care. He's fast. So we've had our adventures that could be its own episode. But no, I just want to thank you for being here and for highlighting the needs of these dogs and these pets, because like I said earlier, they don't have the voice to do this. And so, we are obviously all for giving a voice to the voiceless, and in situations where, people feel like they can't speak up, and like children and animals, it's like you really can't go wrong when you're advocating for these just innocent, pure beings that really make our lives so much richer and fuller, and deserve nothing but the best from us. So thank you, and hope that this brings some new volunteers and maybe some donations as well.
That would be awesome. I am so grateful to the both of you for having us here. And it's not just to talk about Crossing Paths in particular. It's really to bring awareness. And as you said, to be the voice for these animals, whether they're abandoned, whether they're abused, they're not wanted. They deserve a second chance at life. And we are here to speak for them, and we are here to give them the second chance. And if you're looking for a great organization to become involved with, I have to say, I am as thankful for Crossing Paths as they are for me. It's just, they're such passionate people, and they bend over backwards to do the right thing in difficult circumstances. So yeah, I consider them a blessing in my life, for sure.
Well, awesome. Kathy, thank you so much. I tremendously give my thanks to ASHLEE. And ASHLEE was the foster parent for Camaro before she came in. And ASHLEE did a beautiful job with her. My fear was trying to get her like potty trained and things like that. I didn't have to do a thing. She was just absolutely beautiful. Crate training, she trained herself. I put the crates in. I tried to get her to go in, and she just wasn't doing it. After about 4 days, she just went by herself. Like, I left her alone. She just went by herself. So
that is great.
I think ASHLEE paved the way and made this experience really beautiful for me. So I thank ASHLEE, and I thank you as well. Love Bay, please visit Crossing Paths Animal Rescue. If you want to catch up on previous episodes of our program, you can visit our YouTube channel, Suffering in Silence TV. Please also remember to like, share, and subscribe via whichever platform you're viewing us by. We thank you so much for joining Suffering in Silence with Pastor Tia here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. I was thinking two thoughts at one time. Okay, we are rising out of the ashes together. I hear Camaro.
Working on this.
Yes. Everyone, please have a good evening.